Hey everyone, it's Candace again. So just giving you guys another update. I have officially gone through my first week, second week. Wow, it's all kind of run together, especially being on night. So I had my first week of orientation, and that was Monday through Thursday. And then that Saturday is when I went in for my orientation shift on the unit, and I got two orientation shifts for this facility. So I worked Saturday night, Monday night, and then as working on my own off of orientation, I worked Wednesday night and Thursday night. So, like I said, my days run together. It's Sunday. Yeah, it sounds right. It's Sunday. Um, I had I'll have a few nights off and then I'll go back in on Tuesday night and Wednesday night and Friday night of next week. So I got a little bit of free time. It's kind of given me a chance to really get into my groove here and kind of just take a breath. It's been interesting to say the least. I still absolutely love my job and love taking care of people. Um, I've already met just some of the sweetest patients ever. So, I know I've said this plenty of times, but I do postpartum mainly, and then I also can take care of like gynecological patients or antepartum patients, which are patients who are still pregnant, which is actually what I did on Tuesday night. Is I had three patients who were still pregnant who were there in the hospital for different reasons, but they were just being monitored. They were all very very sweet. It was actually a really good night for me. Um, I think it's just so much fun to get to meet and experience new people. I'm a very introverted person when it comes to like my personal life and what I like to do. But I feel like at work that's where I can be extroverted. Where with nursing you kind of have to be to a certain degree. You have to be able to talk to all kinds of people and kind of get on their level, get on their understanding. And also, it's a time where, well, most of the time I'm dealing with people who are relatively happy, that they're in the hospital. The gynecological patients, they're not as happy. They don't have a little baby that they're gonna be looking after. Um, but for the most part, it's happy. But that doesn't mean there can't be stressful times too. There are so many times that it's just a big deal to have a child, to have someone else to look after. And every child is different. So even if this is your second, third, fourth kid, it's a whole new and different experience. Um, and it really is special that I can kind of guide parents on that journey. There's so many little things like how to pick the baby up without worrying about their heads are a little wobbly in the beginning. They don't have that much neck control, so you got to support the head and how to pick them up, how to burp babies properly, how to swaddle babies, change a diaper, especially with bottle and breastfeeding. How to feed your baby properly, which I cannot say this enough. Whoever is watching this, I mean, if you plan to have children, have children. You probably already know this, but those newborns, they need to eat every 2 to 3 hours with breastfeeding, every 3 to 4 hours with bottle feeding. So, I know it was, back in the day, people are like, never wake a sleeping baby. No, you gotta wake that baby up to eat. They will sleep the entire day and night if you let them. They need to be woken up to eat every 2 to 3 hours or every 3 to 4 hours. And I think that's that's probably one of the biggest struggles as a nurse that we kind of have, because we know you're tired, we know you're exhausted, but especially for those breastfeeding moms, like we can't feed your baby. If you were bottle feeding, we could feed your baby, which I'm not, harping on breastfeeding moms. I think breastfeeding is great. It's beautiful. Your baby gets so many nutrients, so many, protection from you. It just, breast milk is amazing. But that being said, I can't feed your baby in the middle of the night. You have to be the one to wake up and feed that baby. And I know it's labor is exhausting, whether it be vaginal delivery, C-section delivery, vaginal delivery, turn C-section, it's exhausting. You are tired, you are delirious from the lack of sleep, you're hungry, you just want to sleep and relax. And then it's been, an hour and a half and that little baby is waking up and starving. I get it. I really do. I personally, I know I don't have children myself yet. But I understand. I can see just the exhaustion. I can have empathy for you. That baby needs to eat. It's at the end of the day, that baby needs to eat. So those can be kind of the, stressful times that, new moms, even moms who have had kids before, a whole, can be, like I said, every baby's different, so it can be a whole different feeding experience this time. And, also with the added aspect of pain with delivery, obviously with C-section, you have a huge surgical scar, very huge surgery, major surgery. And we really do ask a lot of you. You're getting up and moving around and within the first 24 hours, and you have a baby to take care of, it's a lot. So that's another added aspect that we kind of have to be on top of and on control of. I'm the type of nurse who would like to, offer pain medicines whenever it is available. We have, scheduled medications, which usually you'll get like scheduled either Motrin or Tylenol or both, which pretty standard as far as I've seen so far. At the facilities I've worked at, you'll usually have either one of those two just either scheduled or you just take them around the clock as you can. And then depending on the facility, you'll have your stronger medications like oxycodone or Norco, which is hydrocodone and Tylenol together, to kind of help with those more severe pains, like in between the doses of your Tylenol and Motrin. So I like to always try to, either write it up on the whiteboard or just let moms or, their support person, whatever, know, hey, you will be able to have this medication at this time if you want it. I'll come in, check on you, see if you want it at that time. Do you want me to wake you up if it's time for your medications and you're sleeping? Especially for those C-section moms, usually they'll give you something called Dermorph in your spinal. And that's, it's kind of like epidural, but they give you this medicine that has morphine in it. So it has pain control for about the first 24 hours after delivery. So, a lot of those moms will they'll feel really good. They're getting up, they're moving, they're walking around, and they're like, oh, I don't need any pain medicine. I feel great. This is much better than what I thought it was going to be. And then they get past that 24-hour mark and it kind of hits them like a truck, that pain. So I cannot stress that enough. Like, and everybody's pain tolerance is different. Some moms are really, just do absolutely great and amazing and don't take that much pain meds after C-section. And some moms need more pain meds even though they have a vaginal delivery. It just depends on that person's pain tolerance. But I always try to tell the moms to not be like a martyr. Take the pain medicine. Don't feel like you're giving up or taking the easy way. I don't know. I don't know what runs through the brain. I understand. I do. I don't like taking a whole lot of medication myself, but in that instance, you gotta give yourself a little bit of grace in that time, so that's one of the things that I like to stress to my patients when I have them is please, please, please take your pain medicine if you can and if you want it, because it's better to stay on top of the pain than to catch up with the pain. I'm sure many have heard that saying, but it is so true. It is so true. And a lot of things that moms can experience too is something we call after pains. So that's usually when you're either breastfeeding or you're pumping or, causing any kind of stimulation on the breast. Uh, your body releases a hormone called oxytocin. So that it's just a hormone. Is the best way I could just, simplest description of it. But when it's released, it makes your uterus contract. So it kind of feels more, it can feel like labor pains, like actual contractions. It can feel like very serious period cramps. But that usually happens when your breasts are getting stimulated during, like I said, feeding or pumping or something of that sort. Sometimes though can be very, very painful. And it gets worse usually with every pregnancy. So, moms who watch this, if you are watching this, if this is your first child or you plan to have more, just keep that in mind that it can get worse. Not saying it does for everybody, but it's very common that those after pains get a lot worse with each pregnancy. Um, but as far as work in the facility goes, so far so good. I'm still learning everything. Um, that that's something that's just it's inevitable. You just gotta give it time and learn your way around. It can be a little frustrating because I'm. It's hard when you've been a nurse for a while. I'm not saying I've been a nurse for like super, super long. Um, but it's just frustrating when you have to keep asking people, where's this at? How do I do this here? And what's your policy on that? And it just it cuts into the time that I could be spending time with my patients, or obviously we have so much charting that we have to do. Um, but to be honest, I love spending time with my patients. I could just sit in there and talk to them and learn about them and their family and just I really love it. And it's so fun when you get a patient where you have little connections that you can make, like, oh, you watch that show, oh, I like that show, or obviously I have purple hair, so I'm like, my favorite color is purple, and it's just little things that we can use to connect with them, and that's something I love doing. But so far, the hospital has been good. I'm still getting used to being on the whole night shift. Well, you can't really tell, but it's like 3:30 in the morning right now. Um, and like I've said before, I can't swap back and forth. Like it just is very hard for me to completely move myself back to day shift and then to have myself move to night shift again. It just really doesn't work for my body that great. I feel, just when you get to that level, Josh, you just I feel so sick. Like it literally feels like I have the flu, and I feel like I don't want to do anything. So this is me up in the middle of the night, and I'm also an hour ahead here from Texas. So, I have to take that into account when I'm calling, my mom and friends, my sister, my husband. Um, so that's been another aspect that I've kind of had to deal with in the meantime. Um, and this is only my second week, and I have, 10 more weeks of this contract. And I think it's going to be good, but hard. Um, Very hard. This isn't for everybody, for sure. I'm learning that a little bit more now. I still think it's very, cool and interesting to be at a different facility, every so often and see how different things work, see different places. But it's definitely hard when you're away from your home and family and just comfort. I can see where this would be a lot easier if, Keith could come with me and, our cats. And, if I had some type of, you know, not saying I don't have support, but just having someone here, it just that is very, very hard. And it's making me think, maybe this isn't the right, avenue for me. Maybe after this assignment, I take a little break, or I, get into another staff position, or even a clinic job. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. Only time will tell. But that is also something that I've starting to deal with and learn during this whole travel nurse adventure. I am big watcher. I love movies. I love TV shows. I've said that before. Um, and I tried to keep myself busy. I'm saying a lot. I'm so sorry. But doing things to, keep my mind busy. I've been trying to be a little bit more active even on my days off, doing sorry, doing like online workouts, online Pilates. I have back problems, and I have had for years and years and years. Uh, that is really can be really painful at times, especially when I'm working. So I try to, do exercises that will strengthen my core and, hips and all of that. It's just very hard to stay on top of that. I've done physical therapy, in the past, and actually, right before I started travel nursing in January, I was in the process of going to physical therapy again. And, at this point, they were thinking it was something to do with like my hip joint, like my sciatic joint. Is it my sciatic joint? Don't quote me on that. I know I'm a nurse, but I don't know everything and I can make mistakes, so don't quote me on that. I don't, but it's, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's, anyway, regardless, that joint can sometimes get kind of out of place to where it pinches that sciatic nerve. So, I've been feeling some like numbness tingling down my leg and, just pain, and it just not fun. So I try to do some exercises to counteract that. I've also been I did bake some lemon bars at and I took them to my first shift I had here, and I do hope to continue to bake and make things because that's something I really love to do and I'm passionate about. And also currently, I'm just working on myself, as I'm here by myself, working on my thoughts and views of different things and just how I can be, you know, better, I guess, better. um, I'm I'm Christian, so I've taken this time to kind of work deeper on my faith too, and just delve into that, which I still have so much to learn, and it's just endless of the things, but that's something that I have really glommed onto, I guess, in this time and this new journey of my life, is to really take a step back and appreciate things and just grow my faith and be the person that God wants me to be. And that's something that I'm very passionate about too. So at times I think of this as, even though it's hard, and how much I wish I could be home and give my cats a snuggle and lay, it just, it's hard. But I feel like there's a blessing in everything, even the hard things. And I know this is a hard thing that I've kind of done to myself, but I've always wanted to try it, so here I am. But it's given me a chance to delve into something deeper and to learn something new about God, and reading the Bible, reading scriptures, watching online sermons and podcasts and things like that. It's just it's something that I think has been needed for me personally, and it's blessing in disguise. So I hope to continue to learn more, possibly go out and venture more in the great state of Georgia. I haven't honestly seen much so far. I mean, I know it's only the second week I've been here, but being that I'm awake in the middle of the night, nothing's usually open. So there's that. I either have to wake up early in the day if I can, or stay up later in the early morning hours. So it just makes it hard to explore, and also the fact that I'm alone here makes it even more hesitant to get out and do things. Which I know I'm a capable, independent woman. Don't get me wrong, but there's just always that level of like, oh, I don't know anyone here. Everything's new and everything's, it's scary. I just, and I'm introverted person as well. So I hear my sister's voice in my mind. Her name is Wendy. But she's very extroverted and bubbly, and just, she's amazing. She just is always doing something and in something, and just, sometimes I hear her voice in my mind telling me to go out and experience things and do things, and I do. It's just harder for me to want to get out and do things. But I am gonna try. Especially if I have some, days off. I've gotten some recommendations of food places, some coffee shops. I love coffee, for my patients. So, maybe I'll go venture out and do something like that, and who knows. But yeah, guys, this is how it's going so far. I thank everyone who's taken the time out of their day to listen to me, to watch my videos. And even if that's just, I honestly am just doing this just because, honestly. And I said, why not? Maybe I can, this is another way I can help people, or just interact with the world. So I thank everyone who watches this, and to all my family and friends out there who are watching this. Thank you guys. I miss you guys. I love you guys. I hope you guys are doing great. But yeah. So thanks for listening, and I will try to be consistent with this. It can be hard to get up the motivation and just to know what I want to talk about. But honestly, once I kind of start going and talking, it kind of just flows. But there are sometimes, like, this video is a lot longer than I think I've done my other ones. But I'll try to stay consistent and try to think of things that you guys would want to hear, and I'll try to keep you guys as updated as possible. Thank you guys for listening. If you like this, like, leave a comment, subscribe, do what you want to do. But I'm really just doing this for fun. But thanks, guys. Thanks, guys, for listening. And bye. See you guys later.